Livy in the chat, could that be used as a single source of identity information that can be used with multiple reward systems at once?
So I'm going to say yes and no. One thing is you can have a giant God's eye reputation CRM, collaborative CRM thing. I think to some extent there's a proof of personhood passport concept being developed by the Gitcoin team that sort of fits in that paradigm. I am somewhat leery of those kinds of systems. I think it's not bad to have them, but they shouldn't become prerequisites too much. So another aspect of the document that I had just shared was that I was advocating away from a centralized repository of contributor metadata towards effectively a context-dependent sort of individual, hey, I chose to share this information with this particular context and maybe different information with another. Like maybe I don't want to use the same account and the same, social sign-ins for the different activities. I should have the right to fracture my identity. Now, I may still need to build a reputation in a context in order to contribute. So as an analytics working group member, I need to do useful stuff and talk to people and gain credibility by contributing and not just expect to show up and be treated like I'm an expert until I've sort of demonstrated that expertise. Or if I go jump into a working group that's not really my area of expertise, maybe I have to learn and develop and do stuff and get a good first issue and whatever and build up my reputation. So, if I want to have privacy and transparency at the same time, I do actually want to give the contributors more power to, choose how to segment their identity. That doesn't mean that you can get away with easy Sybil attacks, because if you choose to segment your identity, you might have to redo the work to develop, meaningful reputation within a context. So there are utilities for people choosing to aggregate their reputation, but there are also benefits for people choosing to fracture it. So I tend to think that a good solution is one that continues to afford that choice to the individuals. And kind of back to my point about the Gitcoin thing, I think it's fine that proof of personhood passports exist, and there are a lot of use cases where they'll be really valuable. Gitcoin itself is uses quadratic funding, so it's relatively susceptible to Sybils. So anything that reduces the likelihood or makes Sybil harder is good for their system, and they may enforce higher degrees of individual uniqueness, like higher measurements. But then there's got to be other contexts where people don't need that, because you don't want to have an economy, a labor economy, where you have to dox yourself to participate. You just might have to choose what part of the economy to participate in. You might go work in an environment that's more conducive to letting you build up a context-dependent identity without, say, joining it with your meat space identity. But as long as you're willing to pay your dues and take the time, you should be able to do that. At least maybe that's, again, a values policy-making thing. But I see, we already have pretty heavy surveillance capitalist systems that we're trying to move away from. If we want to make meaningful differences, they're not just in the hey, we're using Web3 technologies. They're about changing the policies enshrined in those things. So we don't want to go from surveillance capitalism to, surveillance communism overnight. We still want to give people choice and the ability to vote with their feet and move between systems and have privacy, et cetera.